Cohort modeling is one of the most powerful ways to understand how your customers behave over time. In Drivetrain, you can build a complete cohort model in minutes. No formulas, no workarounds. Every cohort model relies on two key inputs. First, the new cohort line, or M0, which is the number of new customers each period, and second, the retention curve, which shows how much of that group stays over time. The model on screen was built this way, and we'll rebuild it from scratch in under 4 minutes. A typical model starts with your new cohort line. For example, you might expect 300 new customers every month, though the actual number can vary. Say 300 in January and 330 in April. Next comes the customer retention curve, stored in a separate model called cohort retention curve. This describes what happens after month 0. We've already set these values up manually to reflect our assumptions, but you can double-click on any of them to adjust. The curve is expressed as a percentage, starting at 100% in M0 and gradually tapering down to around 50% by M23. Together, the new cohorts and the retention curve define the shape of each group, how customers are acquired, how long they stay, and their cumulative impact over time. Multiply the two, and you get the customer cohort rows. To set this up, add cohort as a dimension and configure the time selector on each variable to reference the cohorts above. Here's how it works. Every metric in Drivetrain has a time selector that controls which period's value is used in a calculation. Setting it to cohort anchors the metric to the cohort start month, ensuring each group begins from its own baseline. Setting it to T minus cohort calculates values relative to that start month, letting you see how the group evolves over time. Drivetrain layers all the cohorts together automatically, so your active customer count always combines survivors from earlier groups with new additions from later ones. The table builds month by month, which sets up the diagonal you see. That diagonal is just the first month of each cohort. How many joined in January, how many in April, and so on. As we can see here, January begins with 300 customers at full retention. In February, another 300 join, while January drops to 291, bringing the total to 591. In March, a third 300 arrive. January falls to 285, in February to 291, giving 876 in total. This pattern continues, steady inflow, gradual decay. Then in April, the cohort steps up to 330, raising the baseline and pushing totals higher. If you change one of those starting numbers, the impact flows through that cohort's life cycle. If you close the dropdown, you'll see the monthly summaries instead. But customer counts alone don't tell the full story, so let's extend the model to revenue. We'll add 2 new metrics, price, and a usage-based retention curve. Let's say price is fixed at $20. Unlike customer retention, which can only decline, usage can grow. To model this, duplicate the customer retention curve, label it usage retention, and layer it in. For example, January's 100 customers might shrink to 97, but their usage could double from 100 gigabytes, API calls, messages, or tokens to 200 as their teams expand. Even as the customer count falls, revenue rises. Now, by multiplying new cohort times the usage retention times price, we get a revenue cohort. Again, the time selector for usage retention is set to T minus cohort, just like before. This produces the table that reflects both attrition and adoption. For instance, doubling usage in February drives revenue growth even with fewer active customers. We can take this a step further by adding platform fees. Just add a new row, label it platform fees, and set it as a percentage. Let's keep it fixed at 3% each month. Next, duplicate your revenue cohort and multiply it by the platform fee percentage. You've got a platform fee cohort. And let's say there's a drop in fees to 2% as we scale in the second half of 2025. We can paste that percent into the cells, and the model reflects the updated values instantly. And that's the full cohort model. Customers, revenue, and fees all layered together. Something that would take hours of nested formulas and endless columns in Excel takes only minutes in Drivetrain. And because the model is native to Drivetrain, it flows seamlessly into reports. The cohort model, customers and revenue, is instantly available as charts, tables, or KPIs. You can explore trends and drill down by any dimension without duplicating data or rewriting formulas. That's cohort modeling in Drivetrain, built in under 4 minutes. Powerful, yet simple.